Welcome to another episode of the Issues of the Day podcast. We bring you the hottest issues and topics that are in the news and that concern most all people. We are not a political station, nor do we promote any one side of the story. We try to bring you the most current issues and look at them from all angles. Today we will talk about the death of democracy. Democracy is a system of government in which state power is vested in the people or the general population of a state. According to the United Nations, democracy provides an environment that respects human rights and fundamental freedoms, and in which the freely expressed will of people is exercised. In today's times, democracy is dead. As by definition, the American people do not have the rights that democracy is defined as. Our democracy is turning into socialism. We as Americans have lost the rights that has separated us for hundreds of years from other countries. It is separating us from what we are fighting to promote around the world. Looking at our allies, no wonder they are jumping ship, and scared that America has lost its way and become weak. From the mere definition of socialism, America is headed in that direction. Socialism is an economic and political philosophy encompassing diverse economic and social systems characterized by social ownership of the means of production, as opposed to private ownership. It describes the economic, political, and social theories and movements associated with the implementation of such systems. In short, socialism is a place where the people have lost their rights to create and prosper in an economically free country. They have lost the right to make decisions on their own, lost the rights to create and prosper in business that would benefit the people. Instead, it's a country run by the officials that elect themselves for the betterment of themselves and not to make the country strong economically but to make the country strong in government of the dictators that elect themselves and make all the decisions for the country themselves. In today's times, we are headed into a change in our country by the ruling party to completely take over the country. If a person looks at the changes that we are going through currently and sees the whole picture, the big picture, we are losing our way to being a free democratic state. Just look at their efforts. We are first and foremost losing the two-party system we had in place for hundreds of years. Everyone sees that we as a country are headed down the wrong path to enable the single-party system to rule. Once this happens, all our civil rights will also disappear. Once that happens, anyone that the ruling party sees as a threat will be dealt with and possibly be put into prison as a traitor to their rule or vanish from ever being seen or heard again. We are slowly losing our right to free speech, both written and verbal. Speech is not only what comes out of a person's mouth, but also what a person thinks about and publishes as well. Soon we will be burning books that the ruling party sees as a threat to their agenda. We already see the banning of books from our school shelves that all the Americans grew up with. Back in those days we had free speech and were able to write and talk about things that today's ruling party would deem a threat to them. So they banned them from being read in schools. Ultimately, that will make them disappear from our society entirely. A person would not be able to write, present a podcast, or even listen to them. There would be so many restrictions on everything we would do online. Everything would be monitored and blocked. We even run the risk of losing our current currency to an electronically backed currency that can be tracked and backed by the government. We are slowly losing our standing in the world as a world leader. We are abandoning the ethics that built this country to maintain our democracy. We used to have fair, single-day elections that would decide our ruling party. Today a ruling party has been slowly changing the voting rights to allow up to 30 days to vote in a major election. When we give that much time to elect our ruling party, that opens the door to all kinds of issues. We currently are allowing our voting rights to be tampered with or giving anyone time to tamper with our elections. We are allowing others, both foreign and domestic, to interfere. Yes, we understand that there are others that require more time to get out and vote, and some cannot vote in person due to personal situations that hinder their ability to do that. We have servicemen overseas that need to vote, and when we are stationed overseas or away from a voting booth, we must vote by mail. For a state or jurisdiction to decide to mail out ballots to everyone in that state or jurisdiction is just opening the doors to corruption. The ruling party that is pushing for this is backed by minions that follow the rule of their law. Yes, their law, it is not the real law. They have changed the whole way voting is done. They are doing whatever it takes to make it so they can stay in power. We need to put an immediate stop to this, and that would put a stop to finger pointing that anyone is doing wrong in voting, whether it is gathering ballots from anyone to take to the drop boxes to stuff the boxes to vote. Most of the people who harvest these ballots always add to them other ballots they got from places or people to help ruin the integrity of our election. Our records show that dead people vote, migrants who are not allowed to vote, vote as well. That is why our border is wide open to allow more voters into this country. When we have close elections that are decided by just a few points or a few thousand votes, when we let in millions of people, and they vote in favor of a party that swings the elections in the favor of the ruling party. That needs to stop as well. No one has a plan to do this, and anyone who does is immediately contained and not allowed to have a peaceful life. If you go against the system, or speak out or contest the system, you are immediately condemned and made a public spectacle to push their agenda. The ruling party is weaponizing the judicial system to their favor. They are having high-position people put on trial for the most ridiculous reasons and saying that they committed crimes, or in fact there is no crime. The only crime they did is to be outspoken against the direction in which our country is currently headed. What we see as the reason for this country's downfall is that the current ruling party wants to stay in power forever, and at all costs, no matter who they hurt or run over to achieve their goal. Beware, they will use anyone to help enable their agenda, and when they have done what they need to do, they will discredit the same people they empowered to get their word out. Soon they will not need those people and ruin them as they will ruin others that spoke out against them. They will hush them up. They will use people and then throw them away when the time comes. The list goes on and on of what the current administration is doing to this country that is sending it down the wrong path, a path of destruction. We currently have a puppet government that is run by others through a person who has no idea what is going on in the world. We do not, and cannot afford to have a puppet government like this. Open borders to get more votes into the country and burden the taxpayers with more support for them. Voter interference, even if they say it's to help people vote, which is true, but to help them stay in power. Encourage foreign countries to help the current party stay in power by diversion. Defund the agencies to a point where they will become slaves to the ruling party. This world is changing, and we feel it's not for the better. This world is on the brink of disarray. This world is bending to make the most powerful country to become so weak, in such an unrest state that the turmoil within is tearing it apart, that the American people are so preoccupied with fighting one another that they do not see the changes happening right in front of them. The current ruling party is creating a society so divided that they could ruin the current society to make one of their own to rule for a long time to come. We as Americans cannot stand around and see this happen, or we all will suffer the price for allowing this to happen in the first place. Do not allow anyone to make you turn on your beliefs or morals. Do not change for what others want, but change for what you want. Make this country a better place to live and prosper. Do not sit around waiting for handouts and subsidies. Once this happens, you are in their control, and they will also cut that out, making you even more dependent on them. Make what you can for yourself, and not what they want you to be, which will turn you into a drone for their cause. Stand up for your rights. Do what you know is right. Do not allow them to brainwash you into thinking what this country is founded upon and what you have been doing all along is wrong. Thanks for listening to this addition to our podcast. Please come again. Please subscribe.